So, I'm Reverend Heidi Alfrey, and I am committed to seeing my life clearly. And I can tell I'm with others that are committed to seeing their life clearly. So, since we're all about speaking our truth here at Unity, I'd like you to be with me in that. It would be I blank am committed to seeing my life clearly. Now, you know, your name's not blank, right? So, put your name in there. So I, your name, am committed to seeing my life clearly. So let's do that together. I am committed to seeing my life clearly. And let's breathe into that. So have you noticed that you sort of can see what you think you can see, and then as you journey on the spiritual path, more is revealed? Have you noticed that? It's like the person that you were when you first walked in here is probably less evolved than the person that you are right now. It's really this experience of taking off what doesn't fit anymore and letting the radiance that we are shine forth. It's fascinating. It's really great to know that what you're looking for is inside of you, and it always has been. Isn't that a relief? Why do we spend all this money on all this stuff outside of ourselves when it's always inside of ourselves? Quite interesting, this experience of it was in you all the time. So, I have created a transparent ministry. Well, the spirit within me has been really knocking on my door very loud to create this ministry called The Naked Eye, Seeing Your Life Better by Improving Your Eyesight. All right, and this isn't the physical eye, this is the pronoun eye. Because we know about our physical eye, and strangely enough, our physical eyes go this way, right? But if you'll notice, anything that you've learned about yourself is something inside of you. And so anything that we're wanting to continue to improve, improving our eyesight, we want to, it needs maintenance. You know, if you think of your car, you know, you give it checkups, right? And make sure it's running regularly. And if you have a bicycle, you want to make sure that the tires have air and the chains are moving around. And if you have an airplane, you want to make sure that, you know, the engines are working well. And in fact, if you have an airplane, I'd like to meet you after the service. You know, I'm taking people on retreat, and we need airplanes to do these things. So anyway, your eyes, of course, are going to need the same kind of maintenance. And so we need to take eye exams. And I know you're thinking, Heidi, where do I get a spiritual eye exam? I don't know where I would do that. Well, friends, you're in luck, because we have one this afternoon, right here. At 12:30, we have an eye exam. And I'll tell you some of the highlights of the eye exam in the next period of time. But do you think it's valuable to know more about the eye that is you? Does that sound valuable? Right, because I don't know if we've noticed, but the most important relationship you have is with yourself. You know, I mean, I always thought it was maybe with my, you know, boyfriend or even with my dog, very important, and with my friends. But I've realized that every relationship I have is stemming from how I feel about myself. It took me a long time to figure that out. But it has been very helpful to the people around me, too, because I used to say things like, you make me feel like that. Then I realized, oh yeah, the feeling's coming from within me. So how could that possibly be what it is? So I've learned a lot, and this is what we'll talk about in the eye exam, about how to have conscious conversations. Ones that are, when that happened, I felt like that. You know, you didn't come along and make me feel something. It's that I'm experiencing it, and you're the catalyst. Thank you so much for helping me heal. Right? I mean, how often do we do that with the people in our lives? But it's true. I used to be a flight attendant for Pan Am, so you can tell I'm not a spring chick. But I used to be with Pan Am, and we learned a lot of things about, you know, your exit doors are here, right? But we learned another very spiritual principle that I think we continue to hear on the spiritual path. Do y'all know what that is? Oxygen mask. You have to put your own oxygen mask on first. So this is what I'm talking about, eyesight. That if we're not having our own oxygen mask on, I can't really help you if I'm over here gasping for breath. You know, so we really, the oxygen mask is the real experience of I. Nobody can breathe for you. Nobody can eat for you. And that doesn't mean that I'm separate from you. It's just that you and I are having the same experience of being the I, right? So we're using eyesight as a metaphor today for a spiritual eyesight. And I didn't just make this up, right? I mean, there's been a lot of wise people that have talked about eyesight and it being a deeper, a personal experience. Jesus said, you know, it'd be really handy for you to take I'm paraphrasing. It'd be very handy for you to take the log out of your own eye before you're taking the speck out of your brother's eye, right? You know, I want to see myself first. And Gandhi said, if we live with this eye for an eye, what did he say? We're all going to be blind. And in fact, Helen Keller said that the most pathetic thing she sees is people with sight that don't have vision. Right? So we know that it's something deeper, and even when you say, you know, it's because there's like, that's true. That is really true. And it's a very interesting phenomena because since our eyes go this way, we have perceived the world, this is what this means. What people think about me, what people's opinions of me. You know, when I act, do things change? You know, then I'm going to change me so this works out here. Has anybody ever done that? Yeah, it's very painful and it never works. Have you noticed how you can change everything for somebody in your life and then, you know, it never feels good because authentically you're not being true to yourself. And that person can tell. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this for you, but I'm going to go eat Chinese food, but I really don't want to. And so then you're grumpy during the whole thing. And did they have a good time? No. So you need to be able to say, I will have to go for Chinese food. I'm probably just going to have the wonton soup because that's all I like. And then tomorrow night, maybe we could go have Italian because that's what I like. And do you see that everybody, you know, it's an eye to eye rather than eye for an eye. Fascinating, you know? Okay, so today we're going to look at in our eyesight, improving our eyesight, is sort of three aspects of how we get spiritually blind. First of all, that we can live in the lie instead of the eye. I've been thinking of this stuff, you know? And then how we can have our blind spots. And blind spots are tricky because you can't see them because why? They're blind spots, right? And then finally, how do we live with our eyes open? All right? Okay. Now, the living in the lie instead of the eye. It's really easy for this to happen because when we're this little, we start perceiving our world because of what people tell us is how we should be. You know, and it may be, and we're not blaming any parents or any families or any really religions because parents had their parents and religions had their beginning. And so, you know, we're just kind of getting pushed into, you know, whatever. And so if your religion told you something that felt uplifting to you, great. If it told you something that wasn't, you know, as a young person, this is what you're going to believe. Because you don't get to say, you know what, I don't believe in this particular religion. I'm going to go down the street and grow up in another family. That isn't usually the option. I remember very well pulling into the Episcopal parking lot, and nothing's wrong with the Episcopal church, that's how I grew up. I think it still makes me feel like I should dress up for church. Everybody's very dressed up there. And then across the way was the Baptist church, and a lot of people were poured in that parking lot. And I remember as a kid looking across the Baptist church, and I thought, you know, I wonder if they have something figured out that we don't. Or maybe we have something figured out that they don't. And it was a very, you know, in that young mind, which is what we're encouraging here in our eyesight, we can forget. You know, I mean, we can realize that we knew something, because that was very confusing for me as a kid, but this is what we do. And this is right, and this is the deal. And I remember thinking, it seems kind of small, you know, because we're very open in our youngness. So, living the lie, not the eye. Okay, so can we agree that when we're born, we really know our eye? We have very good eyesight. We don't even really think about it. And that's why I use the word naked when we talk about, you know, our youth. What do you all think the word naked means? What does it mean to you when I say naked? What is it? Revealed, yeah. Exposed, yes. Natural, all right.
Without masks.
Without masks, beautiful.
Sort of raw.
Great.
Vulnerable.
Unprotected, okay, yes. And protected from what? You know, here now I'll get back into my class. What do we need to be protected from, you know? You know, no, but in our, yes, but I mean, meaning that really as the I that you are, you know, the people that may not know who their I is maybe from whom we would need to be protected. But it's a great, thank you for throwing these out here. Because naked has been a fascinating thing to go out in the world talking about naked as a minister. I have a radio show called Let's Get Naked, Revealing Your Authentic Self. And at my church, they're like, you can't say that on Sunday. I'm like, really? You know, and it's, so it's been funny to say, I don't know what you mean by naked. I know what I mean by naked. And look at this group of people that have been talking about how open that is. So my question is, that I love to throw out when people have kind of a challenge with naked is, was anyone out there not born naked? Just checking. Because most of us were born looking kind of like that. Yeah, right, yeah, oh, I know. And when was the last time you thought about yourself and went, oh, yeah. So, love that picture, it really is. So this is what, if we forget who we are when we're looking to improve our eyesight, one of my favorite things to do is to ask everybody to get a little picture of yourself, a picture of yourself as a little person, and have it around your house. You know, you might have pictures of your kids, or maybe your parents as children, or maybe your grandchildren, but how many people have a picture of themselves? And, well, yeah, it's really healthy. It's really, really healthy to embrace, because that little I, the I that is the true I, the authentic I, that's where you want to go when you want to be guided. You know, what do I love? I love Italian food. What do I love? I love the beach. What do I love? And that is the place you will be guided naturally in your life, when you can get into your nakedness and to your truth. So the lie and not the I. I'm going to use these props here to see if any of you had that kind of a challenge with the lie. What do you think you might have learned about God from your religion of origin? Anybody hear that sin word? Yeah, okay, I'm a sinner, and God's way out there. Guilt, so I'm guilty, you know? And so guilty, so I'm not obviously very valuable if I'm guilty, okay. So did anybody learn anything about your gender? Women do this, men do this, men don't do this. What's that? Sexualism. Okay, so all right. So I don't know, with me, women were, you know, men didn't talk about their feelings, and women maybe talked about their feelings too much. Or not too much, but in the sense of, it was a lot of, you know, frustration in people not feeling like they could be authentic. So we had one person not talking so much and the other person feeling, I think, really frustrated. So, anyone learn anything about money? Well, I just heard a lot of, you know, money doesn't grow on trees, and, you know, if you're going to go off and do that creative thing, like be a therapist or a minister, how's that ever going to work for you? I don't know, but I'll try it because I want to. But did we learn that, you know, doing creative things perhaps wasn't valuable? Did you all hear anything like that? So anyone else want to throw out anything else you learned? I really want to put on my hat. Let's see here.
Don't forget the communion wine.
Don't forget the communion wine. So, all right, so what did that mean, do you think? I don't know. Was that another kind of spiritual upliftment?
I was an altar boy. I forgot the communion wine one time. Right in front of the congregation and the entire church. I was cut down at the ankles.
My heavens, so they weren't just glad you were there. Without the wine, you didn't have much value. And you know, and strangely enough, in my family, that was a big thing too. Without wine, nobody had any value. Okay. It's okay. They were spirited in other ways. Yes, and I, you know, I often will put on my sunglasses. I may have to grab them here. Anyway, anything else about, you know, maybe one's brother was better, one sister was better? Can't you be more like somebody in the family that you need to be more like, or?
It's only sacred to be with a man and a woman.
Okay, beautiful.